In this lesson, we will explore the various areas and menus within the Visual Studio development environment for Dynamics AX. We will explore the major areas of the development environment, which include the Application Explorer and AOT, which is known as the Application Object Tree. And within the AOT, we'll look at the model view so we can see the organization of the different models in the system. And then we'll look at how the elements are organized within the AOT. Next, we will look at the Solution Explorer window, which is where our projects and elements will be located. Then we'll check out the Properties window, which is where we set properties on our different elements. We'll check out the Code Editor, so we can see how X++ code is developed and edited in the environment. And lastly, we'll look at the Dynamics AX menu. From here, we can do different tasks such as creating models. First, let's take a look at the Application Explorer. By default, when you open Visual Studio, you might have some windows and panes already populated here. I'm starting with a blank canvas so I can show you how to enable or disable certain navigational features. So the first thing we want to do is go up to the View menu. And we're going to demo the Application Explorer. So I'm going to click it, and it'll appear here on the left. I'll right-click the AOT node and choose Classic View, and we'll look at how this is set up first. The Classic View contains all of the system elements, regardless of which model they are in. So we can see the Data Types node is the very first one in the list. If we expand that, we have our base enums and our extended data types. If we expand the Data Model node, we can find our tables, views, queries, data entities, as well as table maps and table collections. Under the Code node, we have our classes and macros. The User Interface node is where we'll find things like forms, tiles, which is a new concept that we'll discuss in this course, as well as menus and menu items. So these are the user interface and navigational components of AX. We also have an Analytics node. This is where our BI pieces will be located. So we have KPIs, we also have perspectives, and some new concepts here such as aggregate dimensions, aggregate measurements. Under the Reports node is where we'll find our SSRS reports, as well as our report data sources and any images that are used in reports. Our label files are located in the Labels node, and our resource files are located in the Resources node. We also have a node for security, as well as for references and services. Now we'll switch to the Model view, and we achieve this by right-clicking on the AOT node and choosing Model View. Now we see an organization by every model that's currently in our system. And the parentheses is the name of the package that that model belongs to. So if I expand the Application Suite model, we can see it contains all of the same nodes that we saw in the previous view, except for it's only going to have the elements that are related to this particular model. We also have this search box up here on the Application Explorer where we can search for elements within the system. One thing we can do is use the word type followed by a colon and then specify the element type. So I'm going to look for a table, and we can see my recent search history of the cust table. So when I enter this search query, it's going to return a list of all the elements that have cust table in it of type table. So once you choose an element, it's going to tell you the model that it belongs to here in the brackets. We can right-click any element and choose Add to New Project. Since I don't have a project open, it's going to create a new project with this element in it in the Application Suite model. So once you add an element to a new project, you'll be prompted to enter a project name and choose OK. And once we add an element to a project, you'll notice the Solution Explorer window appears with our project name and a folder for the type of element and then our actual element. So now we have our Solution Explorer window open. This can also be accessed from the View menu and choosing Solution Explorer. The Solution Explorer contains our project that we just created. It's called the New Table Project, and we can add multiple projects to this solution, which is called New Table Project up here. Within our project, we can add new folders. So if we right-click the project name, we can go to Add and choose New Folder, depending on how we want to organize our project. By default, every time we add an element to this, it's going to add it into the corresponding element type folder, since we set that setting in the configuration step to organize our projects by element type. Once we select an element, we have our properties window down here, which will display and show the different properties we can set on that element. So for example, we're selected on the Cust table, and we can change the label, we can change different behaviors and settings on this table by using the Properties window. The Properties window, as well as all of these windows, can be set to float or set to docked. We can also hide different windows and arrange them as we please. Everything is free form. We can also save a window layout when you have the different windows set up how you like by choosing Window and Save Window Layout. Next, let's look at the Code Editor window. So we'll go back to the Application Explorer, and I'll choose Type Class, and I'll look for classes with the word Cust in it. So once you have a code element such as a class or macro or method, we can right-click it and choose View Code. This will open the Code Editor window, and you're free to edit and save this code. We can also choose any class and press F7, which will also launch the Code Editor window. Now we can see I have two different tabs here with the two different classes that I'm currently modifying. The last piece of the navigation components we want to look at is this Dynamics AX menu. From here, we can choose to deploy a package. We can also set options for model management. This includes creating models, updating a model's parameters such as its name. We can also import projects, as well as set different options in the system.